You know him, you love him, you want to be him. Danny Z joins us. You read him and you go, huh, interesting. Huh, he makes me think. Huh, he's Danny Z. All right, the goal of the American worker is always to not work yet get paid. Russell Wilson got himself paid, big dog. Was Wilson that bad in Denver?
Well, I don't think that's really relevant, if I'm being honest. I think here's what matters, Dan. You can't win in the NFL with a quarterback taking up a huge chunk of your salary cap if he's not elite. Patrick Mahomes showed that last year, became the first quarterback in NFL history to win the Super Bowl while also carrying the highest cap hit at quarterback in the entire league. It's really hard to win when you're paying your quarterback a ton of money. I think what happened was the Broncos decided that, look, they're going to have to pay a huge cap hit to Russell Wilson, whether he's on the field or not. Why not get someone else in there, because it doesn't he was never going to deliver the level they needed him to deliver at that number. And I think part of the problem was Sean Payton is used to doing things a certain way. He's been around the league a long time. I think he and Drew Brees had a system that worked for both of them, similar to how Brady and Belichick had a thing that just worked for them but hasn't really been able to replicate. I think Wilson has the way he likes to do things. Peyton has the way he likes to do things. And ultimately, Peyton was the guy who was sticking around, not Wilson. So I think this had a lot more to do with the fact that Peyton just wanted to get rid of Wilson, get rid of who he is as a person, as a player in the locker room, and start establishing his own culture more so than just simply the play of Russell Wilson, which was, by the way, about league average.
Yeah, I think this was doomed from the start. I mean, the nonsense that Wilson, the fraud, the stuff, the suit, it just irritated Peyton. It seemed like from the get-go, and he wasn't afraid to call Wilson out. What did he say? Like, just be a quarterback, quit being a politician. That kind of set the tone, and Wilson's not 21 trying to impress a coach. Wilson's his own age. He understands his brand. He's been in, hey, man, he was in Entourage in the final episode, the movie. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, the question for Wilson, though, is at this stage in his career. So I do think Wilson, for those who ask, is there a spot for Russell Wilson? Sure. As long as he's going to take a veteran minimum deal, which why wouldn't he? He's already getting paid $120 million. He doesn't need to gouge a team for money. If he takes a veteran minimum deal and is willing to sort of tone down the whole, I'm the superstar, and kind of takes on that role of like, look, I'm here playing for $1.5 million, $2 million, whatever it is. I think he could fit in an offense that needs him. Question is, of course, whether he'll do that. I don't know. I'm not convinced that he's going to be willing to totally set aside the Russell Wilson, Mr. whatever his brand is, and actually just go play football. But if he's willing to actually take a look in the mirror and say, I still want to be a successful NFL quarterback, I think there is a path to that, especially at a minimum salary.
I'm looking at all of my notes here that I'm supposed to talk to you about, and I'm going to jump over. I'm all in on J.J. McCarthy, and I don't know why. I want the Colts to draft him 15th. Even though they have this guy Richardson, because every NFL guy tells me you got to draft a quarterback every year, so you might as well draft a good one. Does Wilson being gone open it up for the Denver Broncos to take a guy like McCarthy or maybe Michael Penix?
Yes, but here's the problem, Dan. The biggest value you get out of taking a quarterback in the first round is that you don't have to pay him for 5 years. The problem is the Broncos have to pay Russell Wilson for the next 2 years. So even if they draft a rookie, they're still going to be paying the quarterback position a massive chunk of their salary cap. Now, I know this is totally crazy, but if I were the Broncos, I would actually probably go into tank mode this year and say, look, we're going to be paying there's no way the Broncos can build a winning team paying Russell Wilson not to be there. Their defense was an absolute disaster last year. They have so many holes to fill on that side of the ball. I think taking a rookie quarterback for Denver is a huge mistake because they're going to have to burn the first 2 years where he isn't getting paid, but they're still going to be paying a quarterback. So it almost devalues taking a quarterback that high in the draft.
But don't you need a quarterback? Who's going to play quarterback?
Right, but I think what I would do is either wait till next year or the year after and reset that clock and get into a position where your window is big because they're going to have a tiny window. If you take a McCarthy or a Penix, again, the next 2 years, you're not really going to be able to build great contenders around them. The reason the 49ers were able to build a Super Bowl contending team is they didn't paying Brock Purdy anything. And so they could have Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuel and George Kittle and sign Javon Hargrave in free agency. That's a huge advantage. The problem is the Broncos aren't going to be able to do that. So they're going to burn the first 2 years of this quarterback. And yeah, if he turns out to be Patrick Mahomes, elite, then it won't matter. But do we really think that's what one of these guys is going to be? I mean, that's essentially what you're saying is those guys then have to be elite. Now, I'm not willing to go out and say that either one of them is going to be an elite NFL quarterback.
I'm not either, but I also know Jared Stidham and Ben DiNucci. That's who we got.
Tank.
They don't tank in the NFL. You can't tank in the NFL, damn it.
I mean, here's the thing, though. If you look at the Russell Wilson move, what I said to the group chat at Outkick yesterday was like, this is what it looks like when a coach isn't worried about getting fired. No coach would do this because Peyton knows that he's got time to rebuild around this massive mistake that the previous regime made because he's Sean Payton. He's got name value. Now, I happen to think Peyton's very overrated, but that's a separate conversation. They don't, obviously. They traded for him and they paid him a ton of money and they gave him a huge deal. He's not, if he is the genius that everyone says he is, he should take the long game here and think about next year being an absolute rebuilding year. And you're right. NFL teams don't do that. They don't say it, but they should.
You know what? I see a bidding war for Gardner Minshew between the Colts and the Broncos. I can see that coming right now. That's the latest bidding war. Gardner Minshew is going to get paid, yo.
I have no words for that concept.
He's a Pro Bowler. He was in the Pro Bowl. Don't at me about it. All right, I got to ask you a couple of things, and one of them I'm interested in is this. Where are you at with Baker Mayfield? I'm a Baker Mayfield fan. I don't know why. They gave him an extension. He's the guy for the Bucs. Is this, well, we got our quarterback. We got to pay him. Who else are we going to get? Or is this a big mistake?
Well, those aren't mutually exclusive ideas. They can both be true.
Right.
Yeah, look, Baker's fine. I mean, again, the thing that I keep going back to, and I know I sound like a broken record, it's the same thing, but it all comes down to how much they're costing your team against the cap, and then can you build around that guy? And the problem becomes when you overpay guys like Baker Mayfield, and then you can't surround them. Because look, we know who Baker Mayfield is. He's been in the league a long time. He's not that guy that's going to elevate your team. He had a nice season this year. He absolutely deserved all the accolades he got. He played great. But you can't pay him $40 million against the cap. It'll never work. Now, he came in on a prove-it deal, and the Bucs were still able to keep the majority of the team around him, and he played well. He did the same thing for a couple games in Los Angeles, which had a ready-made team around him. Is it a mistake? Again, with the salary cap going up, I think his deal is friendly enough to the team that it's probably not a complete disaster. He could be okay. I mean, I think there's I saw a tweet the other day that was like, you can't win without a franchise quarterback. And that's half true. Here, if you look at the Super Bowl quarterbacks the last 10 years, they fall into generally one of two categories. Elite, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, or on a rookie deal, Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy. You got to have one of those two. The problem is these teams that live in the middle, when they have like an average guy who's making way too much money, who's a veteran. Those are the teams that really struggle to get to the Super Bowl. So that the Bucs are kind of in that territory, which would worry me a little bit. But again, like you said, it's one of those deals where it's like, well, we got a guy, what else are we going to do?
Are the 49ers, Brock Purdy, maybe I don't know what Brock Purdy is. I just know he's a good player that seems like a nice guy. But it also tells me, are the 49ers playing chess, everybody playing checkers?
I have been studying and trying to figure out what the hell the 49ers are doing and why Kyle Shanahan seems to be, for all intents and purposes, a complete genius when it comes to like schematics, but yet his in-game management is actually quite terrible. It's sort of a weird conundrum but it's impossible to deny, right? Like he's the guy who's gotten, Jimmy Garoppolo. He dragged Garoppolo to a Super Bowl. He got Purdy to a Super Bowl. I mean, they didn't win either one, but he's been to 2 Super Bowls already. I don't know, Dan. I know you said last time the one thing I never say is I don't know, but I cannot figure out for the life of me why the San Francisco 49ers are the one team that seem to eschew this idea that you either need an elite quarterback or a good quarterback on a rookie deal. Because Garoppolo is one of the exceptions in that list. If you look at that list of players that I was mentioning, Garoppolo is one of the exceptions. It was the 49ers, as it always seems to be. I don't know, man. I can't figure it out. I don't know what he knows that everyone else doesn't know.
Yeah, I just watched them, and all right, you need a running back. We go make a deal for Christian McCaffrey. What? Yeah, we're going to mess around with Debo Samuels, and he's going to get mad, but eventually we're going to sign him, and he's going to get happy. We get Mr. Irrelevant after we get Garoppolo. I mean, I'm looking at them, and I'm looking at the organization that I'm around, the Colts, who are in their 8th year of a general manager who's under 500, and I go, what the hell are we doing? Like, one team is not up like the other, and that's just the way the NFL works. Couple of things. If you were the Chicago Bears, and you know the options, maybe Jaden Daniels, maybe Caleb Williams, maybe you keep Justin Fields, what would you do?
I'm not keeping Justin Fields for sure. Like we talked about, he's got to get paid, and he's just not that guy. And I've been saying that for years, and now we're all kind of learning it, right? Because all the reports are coming out like, well, the market for Fields might not be that great. Like, teams aren't going to give up a first-round pick for this guy. Probably not even a second-round pick for this guy. I think you got to move on from Fields for sure, just because the clock at this point, the window is too small. The question, though, becomes, do you really want to tie your franchise to Caleb Williams? I struggle with that, Dan. There are just too many red flags in the profile. And I know everyone points to he's crying with his mom. And I wrote 1,000 words about that. I didn't love it. I don't love seeing a guy literally crying in his mom's arms after a loss. You could play the passion card all you want, but there's a line between passion and, we're not going to say it. But there are also holes in his on-field profile. If you look, no quarterback since they started tracking this, has had more time to throw than Caleb Williams. He's not going to have that kind of time to make these incredible plays in the NFL. The DNs in the NFL, man, they're cornerbacks in college when it comes to speed, especially in the Pac-12. He's not going to be able to get away from these guys like he was able to in college, and that takes away a huge part of his game. His mechanics need work. He's slow to release the ball. I'm not sure he processes the field as well as some other guys. I don't see it. I don't get this whole surefire Caleb Williams thing, number one. But if you're the Bears, I do think you have to take a quarterback. I don't know. I'm not in love with any of these guys at the top, if I'm being totally honest.
I gotta look at Caleb Williams and believe him. Like, I got to believe him. I got to believe that this is a guy, not a front guy. All right, last thing before I let you go. March Madness is coming. You like any futures? You like Purdue to win? You do any of that stuff?
I haven't yet. I love betting on the conference tournaments. I don't know why. Just a thing that I really enjoy. I love the conference tournaments. I really do. I'll watch the crappiest conference tournament. I mean, the A-Sun started last night, and yeah, I had a little coin on that. I don't know, man. Ever since the changes in college basketball with all this like transferring and NIL, and you see guys, I'm watching Houston and they got LJ Cryer. I'm like, wait, isn't he Baylor's star last year? And they were pretty good. Why the hell did he leave them to go to Houston? It's just, I don't know. It's wide open, man. Like I pull for North Carolina. I think they have a very good team this year. I think Caleb Love was weirdly addition by subtraction, because he really kind of stopped RJ Davis from being able to do what he needed to do, which was really be the primary on-ball guy for North Carolina. I haven't decided yet, Dan. That's what I'm saying.
Gambling tip for tonight. I have made more money. I'm on fire. I took 150 and I'm now at 4,500 on my way to 10,000. I'm just absolutely on fire doing this. And one of the ways, or one of the teams tonight, just a little gambling tip. Cleveland State is giving IUPUI, America's second worst team, 16 points. So I'm not taking anything, but I'm watching the game. And I've done this so many times, and I've made probably $4,000 off of this. I watch the game, and I hope Cleveland State gets down.
Down early.
The moment they get down and that number goes, I go.
What's your line, though? What are you looking for? You have a target?
No, I don't, and I'm going to take a minus 16 because IUPUI is firing their coach. I know this, and they're a mess. They always lose in the end. I'm going to take 16 just in case Cleveland State gets up early and IUPUI quits. I'm going to take that, and then I'm watching. Oh, last game I got they just played Cleveland. They just played. I actually got Cleveland State plus 2.5 after they were a 17-point favorite. They were down 12. I took them for too much money. They won by 6 or something. I'm just telling you, if you're watching a game tonight and you want to go to work and make some money, check that out and know that IUPUI is going to crap the bed in the end.
And there's a reason
they're like 3-30.
If you look at the odds when you take these live bets, because I do exactly what you were talking about. I hit Duke last night at -2 when they fell down like 7-0 right away. I was like, no, that's
I did
not
too.
Up. That's great. I got Duke at -2. I'm happy with that. But there's a reason that if you look at the odds in live betting, they always charge you more juice. It's always like -115, -115, as opposed to the standard -110, because they know that you've got more information. That the bets on those live bets are much sharper than the ones pregame. That's why they do it. So they know, sportsbooks know, they have to charge you more juice because you got more information, and they don't like that, by the way.
I got last night Baylor. Once they got under 10, I got them for plus 130. I had Baylor minus 2.5 live. Norfolk State was losing. I've watched Norfolk State. I took them at minus 9.5. I took Duke minus 3.5. I took Duke minus 6.5 to start the game. There it is. I'm not lying either, ladies and gentlemen. It's all right there in the green. And I lost. What did I lose? The under in the Baylor game, but there it goes. Winner. And you know what's going to happen tonight, Danny? I'm going to get my ass kicked because I started bragging about it.
Oh, yeah. I got to tell. Well, now I didn't expect to go this way, but now I got to tell a quick story. So, Memphis, UAB the other night. Did you watch that game? Andy Kennedy loses his mind. All right. I hit Memphis pregame -7. They go down 10. I'm like, ugh. So I hit the money line at -105. They just continue to absolutely pee all in their drawers. They go down like 20. I'm like, I'm hitting it again. Plus 12.5. At one point, they're down 22, and I'm like, and Dan, I was betting more money than I should have been betting on this, if I'm being honest. I'm not going to give out any numbers on here, but they were high. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God. Like I went and took a shower. I'm like, oh my God, I just threw away. Oh my God, I can't believe I did this. Like Memphis has no fight. What am I doing? And of course, you know what happened. They go on a 20-0 run. Kennedy gets himself kicked out. Not only does Memphis, they won the game by 20 points almost. I mean, college basketball is so frustrating to bet on, though, because I'll tell you this. You mentioned Baylor. I had Texas plus 7.5. Come on, man. They're up 11 with 12 minutes to go, and I'm getting 7.5. There's no way you don't cover 7.5 up 11 with 11 minutes to go. Come on. I deserve that, though, for the Memphis win. I got to say. I felt like the gambling gods were like, no, we can't give you another one. You had one go your way. This one's got to go against you.
I took Memphis plus 10.5. Hit that one. I put Memphis in a 2-team parlay. Belmont was down. Memphis was down. I put them in a 2-team parlay.
I did too.
And
Belmont too.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Danny Z, you're the man. Thanks for your time, my friend. You're awesome.
We're sharing a brain, Danny.
See you, brother. Great minds are thinking alike. Hey, look, I'm sorry.